This video is brought to you by Surfshark. Stick around to hear more about the discount that they're providing to the entire UE community. Okay, so today I want to discuss something that's bothered me for quite a while, but kind of boiled over during the past 24 hours to a point where I feel the need to talk about it. The topic is Disney, but much more importantly, the moral paradox of canceling or threatening to cancel Disney Plus in light of recent controversy. The catalyst for all this revolves around a Disney Plus Star Wars TV show called The Mandalorian, and I know my voice is probably going to sound weird throughout this video. I'm still sick, I'm getting over it, but it's still there. Anyways, it's a good show. I actually liked what I've seen of it, though I haven't seen everything, and I don't personally have a Disney Plus subscription, but I know a few people that do, and when they're watching something, they turn it on. I watch too. I don't really stress the topic of moral excellence to a point where I'm willing to walk out of the room on principle when something starts playing. That being said, there are a great many people from all corners of the internet who are outraged at Disney right now and are threatening or following through with a cancellation of their subscription. The reason for this is rather complex, and it's also not the first time it's happened, so I'll do my best to clarify. At the center of this vortex is an actress named Gina Carano, known for her semi-lead role as the character Cara Dune in The Mandalorian. Gina Carano is outspoken on social media. She has posted things about pronoun usage, which, as we all know, is a topic right now that is rife with controversy should you disagree in any capacity whatsoever with the ever-expanding list of pronoun identifiers and personal monikers. She has posted about Epstein and the fact that he was most likely, I don't want to get demonetized anymore. It's just been happening so often. Most likely he did not end himself. He got ended by someone else. She has posted about trans issues, which led to a previous wave of anger intent upon seeing her fired from the show. And much more recently, she posted about the rising political tension in the United States. Also, as far as I know, she supports Trump. That's speculation. I didn't really look into this, but that's what I believe, and I'm pretty sure that's true, which is enough to radicalize and anger a larger than healthy section of online activists and whip them into a pretty vicious rage. The point is, she is a controversial figure as a result of her personal beliefs and social media behavior. In my opinion, that controversy is somewhat, even massively, overblown, but that's beside the point because the reality is there are many people out there who want to see her removed from the show, and their response to these most recent events are what have created a moral paradox that, when witnessed, cannot be unseen. Before really dissecting this, it's time for the video's sponsor. I'd like to frame this around the topic of censorship because we'll be talking quite a bit about China today, where internet usage is tightly controlled. Censorship only works when you are unable to break through the artificial barriers put in place to silence you, and a VPN, virtual private network, can help circumvent that control measure to allow for uninhibited access to the internet. Beyond this, though it is already incredibly valuable, Surfshark can do a lot of different things. You can switch your region at will, bypassing geographic censorship, but also gain access to more Netflix shows because of global licensing agreements. You can protect your data and information better from hackers or outside sources, among other things, and also the interface is polished, clean, and easy to use. The effects are immensely valuable in the modern online world, and they've partnered up with the channel to provide 83% off and 3 full months free if you click the link down below in the description, using promo code Echelon. Again, that's 83% off and 3 months free using the link down below with code Echelon. Big thank you to them for sponsoring the channel. So how best to explain all this? Basically, Gina Carano posted a paragraph of text to her Instagram, maybe Snapchat, I think it was, I don't know, I don't have either of those social media platforms, but she posted a paragraph to one of her social medias reading as follows. Warning, there's some rather intense language here. Also, whoever reviews this video manually at YouTube, what's up? Hi, yes, hello. I feel I should read the quote verbatim to properly communicate the subject matter, but in context, can we please look at this fairly and maybe not demonetize? Thanks. Quote, Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Then a further quote, though I can't actually find the origin of that one in this case, so I don't know. Quote within her quote, because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? End quote. That's pretty much the ignition point for all of this because despite being deleted a few hours later, which it was, it caused, I believe, a #1 trending hashtag on Twitter to occur titled Fire Gina Carano, which eventually led to a statement from Lucasfilm that she will no longer be a part of the Star Wars universe. Is it classic distancing language with no real meaning behind it? Is it a serious dismissal from existing roles we didn't even know about? I really don't know, and it's also not the point at all because the moral paradox is on the side of those that are outraged over her comments. I should say at this point, disconnected from the main topic, that the group who believes her opinions on pronouns or other topics are harmful have been relentlessly harassing her for months. It's pretty insane and derogatory stuff. The very same group that preaches moral superiority as a result of their tolerance is executing a more vicious harassment campaign against her than anything Gina Carano has ever posted herself for the better part of a year. Anyways, back on task. The quote that Gina Carano posted is now being held up as anti-Semitic language, thereby justifying her loss of any active roles from Lucasfilm, subsidiary of Disney, for the Star Wars universe. However, the interpretation of this quote is widely disputed. On the one hand, some will argue it signifies that she is directly comparing Jewish families in the Holocaust to conservative families today. And on the other, it is argued that her point was merely to express that rising tensions enable tragic events. My own personal opinion, and keep in mind, subjective opinion ahead, be warned, is that this was a somewhat tone-deaf post. I do not believe, though, that she meant to express disrespect towards victims of World War II or absolve criminals of their crimes. I believe that she sought to outline how hatred of a large group of people and demonizing them for specific beliefs or subsequently defining them all as the enemy can lead to tragedy and turmoil. However, that's not even the point. I could do a 30-minute video on exactly why and how someone might interpret modern-day political division and outspoken calls for punishment to particular groups to be similar when compared to pre-Holocaust tension, especially pre-Holocaust tension. But again, that's not the point. Whatever one personally believes about her motivations or her actions or her words is irrelevant because the calls for her to be fired worked. She was not only pushed away by Lucasfilm, but also her talent agency, UTC, allegedly dropped her from their roster. That's where the opposition stepped in. Before this result occurred, the outcry revolved around the initial demand for Gina Carano to be fired, and many were expressing that they would cancel Disney Plus or not watch The Mandalorian's next season if she was in it. However, after she was let go, a counter-trend occurred where people were canceling Disney Plus because they had removed her from the program, or would now be avoiding The Mandalorian show because she was no longer in it. Dueling sides of pretty much the same coin. Except, here's the moral paradox. This entire controversy hinges on a subjective interpretation of the actress's post as it pertains to the Holocaust and modern-day America. But Disney itself has a somewhat checkered past in that regard. It's important to understand the implication here. These two dueling mobs are implicitly stating that this event is what will, or would have, caused them to cancel the service. They were, and are, for one side, expressing that her post is so egregious they will now cancel the subscription when prior to this moment, there was not enough to motivate them to that end. Enter Mulan. Mulan, a live-action Disney remake of the popular animated title, and in my opinion it was horrible, but whatever, was shot in about 20 locations within China, one of which was Xinjiang. Xinjiang is notoriously recognized as the central location of what is now classified by the United States official government as a genocide. There are Uyghur concentration and labor camps in that region, where both known as well as unknown atrocities occur every single day. And not only was the film shot in a location that was adjacent to such a camp, but in the movie official credits, you can see a special acknowledgement for the, quote, Publicity Department of CPC Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region Committee, end quote. Effectively, the administration staff and government control workers for these camps. Hopefully we can start to see the moral paradox here, which will become totally impossible to reconcile. Gina Carano posts an Instagram quote, or Snapchat, whatever the case may be, pertaining to the Holocaust that some people find through, in my opinion, near deliberately malicious misinterpretation to be offensive, and they call for her to be fired, or they will no longer support Disney. While Disney is a company profiting from and publicly thanking in the credits the Administration Committee of Concentration and Labor Camps during an active genocide. Now, the argument can be made that these moral paragons of excellence simply didn't know that this filming occurred and that Disney harvested profits in such a way while supporting these events. Likely true for some, but upon learning this fact, knowing that the rage born from a simple Instagram or Snapchat post that likened political animosity to pre-World War II tension caused them to nearly cancel the service or not watch the show and call for her to be fired, what should they do now? Effectively, every single person who proclaimed that Gina Carano should be fired because of this, because it was so egregious in and of itself, else they would no longer support Disney and cancel the subscription, that's important, upon learning the reality of how Disney profits internationally, specifically within China, should immediately and without question cancel their subscription right away and cease watching Disney properties. Any of them that do not do this, or who previously knew the model by which Disney operates, again, specifically in China, likely a hefty number considering the appetite for outrage these days, need to internally reflect on the reality that their moral and ethical standards are worthless. They have no principles, no fortitude, and no consistency, thereby invalidating anything that they say on the subject immediately. The moral paradox here is that a #1 trending topic aimed at the termination of a Disney actress came from a subjectively interpreted post which caused offense as a result of its root in the prelude to genocide during World War II. The crowd screaming across social media proclaimed that they would no longer support the company unless she was fired. Meanwhile, the company, Disney, directly works with a genocidal government, thanking the literal staff of the camps for flagship cinematic releases, and that reality was not, or is not, enough to cause their cancellation. But Gina Carano posting on Instagram is. Anyone who views these events to be somehow worthy of removing their support from Disney, specifically canceling their subscriptions, who does not know about these past corporate choices, can be somewhat forgiven. Anyone who does know, and anyone who subsequently learns hereafter, anyone that participated in the calls for her to be fired, that is, if they have any moral consistency or internal standards whatsoever, should by default immediately cancel. However, many won't. Many will continue to support the company, the show, and the service because they have no standards. For those involved with this trend, those that successfully caused her to be dismissed from Lucasfilm, all across Twitter, the viral hashtag, the push, the cancel culture, all of it, it was never about moral excellence. It was never about a true ethical position. It was nothing more than a surface-level drive to attack something they disagree with, or attack someone that they want to see damaged. Most of them, likely, will not adhere to the logical imperative that arises from their outrage over this Instagram post, even when something exponentially more severe, like what Disney has done with Mulan, is laid out plain as day for them to see. They will continue to scream at anyone who diverges from their demands, specifically on social media, while never actually adhering to any of the things that they preach. It's an easy test. For anyone who participated in this trending demand for Gina Carano to be fired, simply inform them, or ask if they are aware, of Disney's previous actions. Show them this video even. If they say yes, they knew about the stuff that occurred in China, they knew about the specific thanking of the concentration camp administration, all that stuff, and they still have Disney Plus, they are worthless. If they say no, and they do not cancel as a result of that new knowledge, they are worthless. And no amount of twisted logic can ever save them from that. At the end of the day, most trends like this end up in similar waters, but with this one, it was just particularly obvious to a point where I wanted to discuss it. If you want to support, there are links down below. Locals, where $5 a month helps keep the channel going. Odyssey, a YouTube platform alternative where my entire content library is mirrored, and it's a really great place for creators, so check that out. Another YouTube to check out or support. Surfshark, of course, discount code Echelon, link down below. Merch, social media, etc., but I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching, and have a nice night.